Welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy, I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Today I'm going to talk to you of another pretty much rare video of just giving my thoughts of about a certain subject regarding the pop culture and news media and whatever. And really, I kind of just want to point out what I think would be the new trend of cinema, movies, content, or stuff that's going to be coming out for the next 10 years or so or less. Because it feels like we are entering into an age where superhero trends is slowly fading away. I mean, we've been doing the thing since 2008. So I think it was only a matter of time before, eventually we're going to be moving on to something new, something more eventful, something more grand. And I think this is a sign that we are leading up into that. Where you have the recent news of last year's superhero movies that basically, until now, have been bombing and not gathering the enough attention as we were accustomed to, like with Shazam, and then shows like, some of the Marvel shows. And then you also had I just thought of something. You also have with the Star Wars properties, with Disney and all that. Slowly fading away. Now, I don't think they're going to stop continuing making superhero stuff. I think they're just going to be more on the back burner, and then they're going to be putting less money into it. And shout out to several content creators who've done this. But what I think the next trend of movies and stories are going to be video games and anime adaptations. And then probably reality TV, but to more like personal video vlogs. For that, I'm going to start with personal video vlogs. I think those are going to be on the rise. And why I think so, it's because, I think it's really interesting learning about somebody else's life than it is watching a fictionalized version of somebody else's life. I think people want stories to where it seems relatable, seems personal. I think there's going to be more of a thirst and more of a market for telling interesting stories about somebody else's life. You have so many people living all over the world, willing to learn about other people's lives and other people's dilemmas, circumstances, relatable situations. With the internet being such a bigger place now, we can basically contact people from all over the world, and we can venture out being friends, establishing a community. And I heard some studios are going to rely more on reality TV, and I hope not reality TV like competitions and all this. I mean, I'm sure they will, but not like the Jersey Shore era, which that's already been done. But I don't really like all that reality TV. But I think it's going to be reality TV where they're going to test the waters and kind of see a little bit. Where I think they're going to rely more on reality TV, but on vlogs. I'm sure they're going to get creative with that. I think the best reality TV competition that I've watched and I've seen, unfortunately, I think on the last 2-3 seasons, was King of the Nerds. To me, that was the only reality TV I would watch. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that, but when I watched it, it was a pretty cool show. Because I'm a little nerdy. And then you also had the Scare Tactics for anybody who remember in the early 2000s, the sci-fi stuff, Scare Tactics. There's been other shows, rip-off shows, and other YouTubers I think are doing something like that. So I think there's going to be more of that. I think there's going to be more partnership with other studios, with content creators producing their own content, getting their stuff out there to kind of get that out of the field. Secondly, I think there's a market for personal stories out. And I also think there's a market for learning about international stories. So I think there's going to be a rise into that. I mean, hell, you could even make movies with the minimum amount of money not needed working in the industry to make stuff. I think there's going to be a rise of that, and I think there's going to be studios buying other properties, and then some studios might fade away. We'll see. Next, I think there's going to be a rise of video game and anime adaptations, which we're slowly starting to kind of get better at adapting video games. But I think they're going to be more adaptable in television. Some of them might still go to theatrical movie releases. But I think with the popularity with The Last of Us, which I'm still currently watching, and then I think there's the Twisted Metal show that's coming out with Anthony Mackie and a few others. And then the rumored BioShock show that's supposedly in development, which I'm worried about that. There's going to be a rise of video game adaptations where that's going to be the new trend. And I think they're going to start getting them right with some changes, obviously. But there's going to be a trend of adapting those popular video games we're accustomed to, and with CGI. I think they're going to try to do things more practical, but we'll see. And I think there's going to be a little bit risk taking when it comes to telling these stories. There are some properties that are good with bringing into live action. Some aren't. I think there are some properties you can do but fully CGI, like I think the Unreal Engine throughout the whole film. I'm sure that's a lot of money. And then you're also going to have to, accommodate with what they can do with the money they have. So I think there's going to be a rise of video game adaptation and anime, which we're now, I think Netflix adapted like 6 or 7 animes, maybe even more. I think they're currently filming the Yu Yu Hakusho adaptation. And, you had Cowboy Bebop, and that lasted only one season. I didn't really watch all of it. Detective Pikachu 4 years ago. That was pretty good. I think that was one of the best anime adaptations so far. And the Wolf Brigade that came out in 2018. I believe that was the year. I don't know, but it's on Netflix. I think there's going to be a rise of that. And I think there's going to be more of a rise of creators self-funding their projects. I don't know about indie films. I think the more content creators cover art house indie films or independent films, I think the more it will get more attention and recognition. And I would encourage content creators to help do that. That's what I'm trying to do, to seek out some of these movies that are lesser known by other studios, unless that studio has like a fan following, like A24 has a fan following. I don't think Neon has one yet. Focus Pictures, no, not really. But I think really the biggest independent studio right now is A24. And I think their films are going to skyrocket in the next 10 years. I mean, they've been operating for 10 years, believe it or not. Their first film was in 2013. So congratulations on A24's 10th anniversary of being around. But I also believe they're going to start being popular, and it wouldn't surprise me if a bigger studio tries to buy them out to get their films out there more. And to I think they co-partner with Lionsgate, but it wouldn't surprise me if another studio tries to buy them. I think there's going to be a popularity of A24 out there. I think so. And I think other independent studios are going to follow suit. But I think there's going to be more of a competition of that. I just think video games adaptations and anime adaptations are going to be the next big trend. I think VR is still a work in progress. I heard that there are films out there that are trying to be made in VR with a VR experience. I don't know anything about that. I will think that I think there will be films that will be made with Unreal engines, and I think there's going to be video games, even though they're kind of like designed to be like movies. It wouldn't surprise me if they get a little experimental with that. I do fear with the advance of technology that there's going to be a lack of need for actors for a. I mean, you're going to need actors, but after that rumored production of with Shazam, where they didn't hire Gal Gadot to I mean, maybe they hired her for something, but to hire another actress as a stand-in body and to digitally put Gal Gadot's face on it, to deep fake her face on that, is actually kind of worrisome. I mean, we've seen the decline of lead movie stars. It's now going to be popular brands. But if we get to the point where we could basically digitally recreate an actor and put him into a film, that's scary, and that can put a lot of actors out of a job. And I think there's going to be more reliance on independent film, I think. And there's going to be more support of that. But it's scary because let's say there's no need for having a lead A-list or B-list actor. You could just hire an actor, and their acting could be terrible, but they could just CGI let's say they could bring James Dean back, or they could, a very, very, when Denzel's gone, they could hire some actor and they could digitally enhance his body to look like Denzel Washington, which is scary. It's scary. It's actually kind of scary thinking that could be, and that's AI for you, that could be the possible direction we're going for in movie making. And that's, that's really kind of scary. That's a scary thought. I even though it's the best Star Wars film since the original Rogue One, I didn't like that they brought the actor Peter Cushing back from the dead. I think James Earl Jones gave his rights to Disney to use his voice, to AI his voice, to recreate his voice for Darth Vader. Okay. I don't know, and it just seems weird. It just seems, but that's just me. That's just me. But I think that's the next trend for movies, television, for the next 10 to 15 years. Like I said, I think superhero movies are going to be on the back burner. They're still going to be around with the new transition with DC Studios. Video games, you got PlayStation, Sony creating their own studio. We got PlayStation Studios. Xbox, Microsoft going to have their own thing. Branching out to other studios to make their video game properties a thing. There's going to be a God of War movie. There's going to be... there's quite a few video game movies that haven't been so popular that I believe could make good movies. They were actually been trying to get a Sly Cooper movie. That would be good as a series. I would love to see that as an animated series if they don't go cheap on the animation. That could do extremely well. It's very underrated. It's one of my favorite games. I could see a Turning Point Fall of Liberty. For those who don't know what that game is, well, it's a World War II game of Nazi Germany invading the U.S. and then everything else around it. That's a cool premise. That could do it. There should be a Kane Lynch movie. I know they try to get that off the ground. Alan Wake. I mean, there's some video games that are designed to be more movie related, but they're going to adapt it. But my worry is if they adapt these video games, are they going to try to make it like the video game? I have not seen the Uncharted movie because I haven't played the Uncharted games. It didn't look like it felt like the movie, the game. But how would I know? I haven't played it. They could do a Fighting Force game movie a ball breaker, even though nobody knows what that is. What's that one game? I remember. I mean, they've done The Last of Us. They could redo Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. They could do. There's so many out there. I'm not gonna, But the point is, I think that's the next trend of movie making from here on out. I think that's it, and I think now we're gonna, with technology the way it is, we're gonna find a way to do more by doing less with the amount of money going in. Because now you could, there's so much software that's cheap and available if you have the money for it. It's doable. But I think those are my thoughts. I want to kind of put out what the next trends is going to be for cinema, and I would like to know what your thoughts. And let me know what is your favorite underrated film.